Do you feel it? This weight, this almost palpable presence that slinks and follows you, even when the sun is shining and everything seems perfectly in order. It makes no sound, doesn't shake you to get your attention, doesn't manifest with screams or abrupt gestures. But in some undeniable way, it's always there, like a persistent shadow cast not by light, but by your very existence. It wraps itself cold and silent around your mind, especially when the ground crumbles beneath your feet, when the world around you seems to fall apart, and in a desperate attempt to understand it, to control it, you try to name this uncomfortable sensation. Perhaps it's just sadness, an overwhelming fatigue that refuses to leave, or maybe just another bad day, like so many others that accumulate. But what if for a moment you considered the possibility that it wasn't any of that? What if this presence was, in fact, something much larger, deeper, and infinitely more disturbing? What if it's the beginning, the prelude to something so subtle that you refuse to even acknowledge its existence, something your mind insists on keeping veiled and distant? The threshold of a place from which the idea of returning, of being the same person who left, simply doesn't exist. Because hell, you see, isn't what they told us in fairy tales or in terrifying sermons. It doesn't manifest with crackling flames or deafening screams of torment. Far from it. It begins, almost imperceptibly, with a profound silence, which infiltrates every fiber of your being. Carl Jung, a man who dedicated his life to unraveling the labyrinths of the human mind and who understood the inherent darkness of the psyche, warned us with a chilling truth. Hell is, in its purest essence, everything you refuse to see in yourself. It's the collection of every flaw, every weakness, every dark desire you've hidden. It's the part of you that you ruthlessly suppress, that you push into the darkest depths of your unconscious, pretending it simply doesn't exist. He gave it a name that echoes with a disturbing truth: the shadow. Think of those moments when you told a lie, one of those so well crafted that for a while it seemed like everything was perfectly fine, that there would be no repercussions. The immediate relief, the feeling of having escaped unharmed, but then came the reckoning. It wasn't fine. In fact, an almost invisible crack began to form in your soul, a rift that over time and with each new omission or distortion widened, turning that initial "it's fine" into a fiction increasingly distant from reality. Or perhaps, think of that betrayal, not just of another person, but of yourself, when you believed you were in absolute control, expertly holding the reins of your own life. You thought you were immune, that you would emerge unscathed, but you realized with a shiver down your spine that you were never the same, that something essential had broken. This is the crucial point, the essence of hell unfolding. It's not about what happens out there, the external events that seem to strike you. No, it's what rots in secret, in the darkness of your own interior, a slow and painful corrosion of your essence. Hell is not a single event, a sudden cataclysm. No, it's a process, slow like the drip of a faucet, insidious like the fog that creeps in at dawn, and terribly, frighteningly seductive. It doesn't burst into your life with the violence of a scream or the fury of a storm. Far from it. It settles in, with an almost imperceptible softness, into your daily routine, into those small customs that become part of your being, into the familiar convenience of a lame excuse. You catch yourself whispering to yourself, "It's just a mistake, it's nothing major." Or perhaps, "It's just an addiction, I can control it." Or even, "It's just tiredness, I'll be better tomorrow." But with every justification, a tiny yet vital part of you fades, disintegrates. And as that part dwindles, another, a darker, colder, and completely unknown version of yourself begins to take control, silently weaving itself into the tapestry of your identity. And when you realize it, when you finally stand before the mirror, the image looking back at you is no longer entirely yours. It's a stranger, a distant echo of what you used to be, a diluted and almost unrecognizable version. And at first, that scares you. A shiver runs down your spine. But the real horror, the true terror, manifests when fear gives way to a chilling indifference, when this strangeness no longer bothers you, when you accept this new version as your own. Because hell isn't built with burning flames and screams of pain. It's forged with incessant repetition, with the vicious cycles of harmful habits, of choices that corrode the soul, of patterns that repeat endlessly, trapping you in a routine of self-destruction. Dante Alighieri, in his immortal work, carved into marble the words that echo through the centuries at the entrance to hell. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. But real hell, oh, that's when you abandon hope without even realizing you've already entered. It's when surrender happens even before the recognition of imprisonment. Have you ever felt it? That persistent, almost buzzing sensation in the back of your mind that something is fundamentally, irremediably wrong, but you just can't articulate what it is? It's your soul, deep down, in its silent despair, trying with all its might to warn you, to alert you. It cries out from within, a muffled lament, a plea for attention that gets lost amidst a deafening cacophony of distractions. You drown yourself in flickering screens that steal your focus, seek fleeting satiety in food that fills you for a moment, plunge into the escape of ephemeral pleasures that numb the pain, or get lost in the endless, empty pursuit of status and external validation. Over time, you've learned to silence that inner clamor, to anesthetize the truth with a sea of noise and busyness. But the soul, it has an astonishing resilience. It doesn't shut up. It simply retreats, withdraws to an inaccessible place, once its voice is ignored. And when it withdraws, leaving a void in your being, hell advances, filling that emptiness with its dark, cold, and desolate substance. There are multitudes living in hell at this very moment as you read these words. People displaying perfect photos on social media, with rehearsed and forced smiles at social events, and sharing motivational phrases that they themselves stopped believing in long ago. It's an elaborate facade, a smokescreen that serves only to hide the inner rot. It's like spraying the most expensive and exotic perfume on a lifeless body. It might deceive the sense of smell for a moment. It might create the illusion of life and freshness, but it will never deceive time. It will never reverse the inevitable decay. Hell, in its deepest and most terrifying essence, has the suffocating and heavy smell of eternity, of something that has no end, of an endless cycle of masked despair. Do you want to escape? That's the question that echoes, crucial and inevitable. But stop for a moment and reflect. Escape from what exactly? From the hell that seems to be consuming you? Or from yourself? From the uncomfortable truth that resides within you? Often, with cruel irony, hell is merely the distorted and amplified reflection of what you stubbornly refuse to change, of the aspects of your life and personality that you were afraid to face head-on. It's the mirror of what you preferred to project and blame on others, instead of taking responsibility. It's infinitely easier to shout, with a voice choked with anger and resentment, "They betrayed me," than to whisper with a painful truth to yourself, "I allowed it to happen." It's simpler to lament with a victim's tone, "They abandoned me," than to confess with the soul-shredding sincerity, "I abandoned myself first, long before anyone else could do so." You won't transcend hell by brute force, by a superhuman act of will. No, you'll exit it, if you do, by truth. And truth, truth is a flame that hurts more than any physical fire, because fire consumes the skin, burns the flesh, but truth incinerates the illusion you meticulously built around yourself, disintegrating it into ashes. And you, like so many, love your illusions. They are your refuge, your fortress. You inhabit them, hide in them, weave your reality and identity with their fragile threads, which will one day snap. But the ultimate moment will come. The illusory foundation you so carefully constructed will crumble, without warning, without mercy. And you will be confronted with an inexorable choice: to descend one more step down the spiraling descent, sinking deeper into the darkness, or to finally dare to look up, seeking a glimpse of light. But be careful. Not every up is heaven, a sanctuary of peace. And not every down is hell in its most explicit form. Sometimes it's just you, facing yourself, in complete darkness. Alone. Truly alone, without masks or artifices. They say God manifests, with his infinite wisdom, in the deepest silence. But hell does too. It hides in the shadows, and from there, whispers poisonous lies that infiltrate your mind, poisoning every thought. It says, you will never truly be loved. You are a fraud, and everyone will find out. You will never be forgiven for your mistakes. And if you succumb to the seductive melody of these whispers, if you believe with every fiber of your being in these lies, it possesses you, not with shrill screams that frighten you, but with the insidious web of doubt that corrodes you from within, undermining your faith in yourself and in the world. But there's still a chance, a single, solitary, but powerful way out. And it's not climbing a ladder, nor running away, nor pretending that none of this is real. It's to stop, simply stop, and to face it. To squarely face that part of you that you despise, that shadow you tried to banish forever, that you wanted to erase from your existence, and to say, with a voice that might be choked with emotion, but laden with newfound courage, I know who you are. I'm not running from you anymore. The shadow only has power, only exerts dominance over those who, out of fear or ignorance, pretend it doesn't exist, that it's just a figment of the mind. You're reading this now, perhaps, because on some deep, unconscious level, you're ready, or maybe almost ready. Ready to cross the fire, not to be consumed by the flames, to burn and turn to ashes, but to be purified, to emerge renewed. Hell is real, yes, it exists, and it can be a painful part of the journey, but it's not the end. It's not the final destination. It's the crossing. A difficult path, yes, but a necessary one. And this crossing, that only exists, is only possible for those who have the unwavering courage to cross themselves, to dive into their own depths and face what's there. Do you have that courage?